Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone? Or good afternoon or good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Good to see you all this morning. I appreciate you being here. Let's see who's in. Burns, how are you? Grand rising to you as well, my queen. Good to see you. And thanks, how are you? Hello, hello. I hope you all are ready for a good day, because we live our life in expectation, and if we expect good, good will come. And even if we do experience some bad situations, we learn how to see the good in them. But anyway, good morning to you all. I wanted to get on this morning and talk about stopping the ripples. Stopping the ripples. Um, I don't know about you all, but being a mom, or even if you're not a mom, it doesn't matter. I know oftentimes when we get older, we will pick up some of the things that either our parents or the people who raised us or people who, taught us, or whoever was in our inner circle, will find ourselves saying things that they used to say, right? So maybe it's something that we will, be talking, and all of a sudden some words will come out and we'll be like, I can't believe I just said that, right? So and so used to say that, or my grandmother, or my mom, or my dad, or my teacher, or my Sunday school teacher, whoever, right, used to say that, right? And you find yourself kind of laughing at yourself a little bit, like, and you may even say, "Oh dear, I'm getting old," or "I'm growing up," or whatever the situation is, right? And so, um, we don't think twice about it, really. But what about when those things that we find ourselves repeating are things that are actually negative, right? Things that aren't so funny, or aren't so cute, or aren't so positive, or aren't so inspiring, but things that are actually negative, things that used to actually hurt us. And so it's one thing to remember or repeat things that we used to hear that were good or funny or inspiring, but it's something totally different to start passing things down, or saying things that were negative and ugly and demeaning, or any of that type of stuff, because as soon as you say those things, it's like you can almost feel the pain sort of resurface, uh, just like it was yesterday, just like it was yesterday. So you'll and good morning, true fan. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. And so either these are things that we typically will repeat to ourselves, right? So if it was something that was negative, we may repeat it ourselves to ourselves, things that people said to us that were hurtful. And we'll end up, calling ourselves those names, or saying those ugly things about ourselves, or even worse, we'll end up saying it to somebody else that we care about, right? And then we find ourselves being like, "Well, I can't believe I just allowed that to come out of my mouth," and I said it to my spouse, or my child, or someone who I care deeply about, my good friend, and we know exactly where it came from, because we've heard it before. We've heard it before, and it's something that we said, "I'm never going to talk to my person that way. This person that I care about, this. I'm never going to talk to my kids this way. I'm never going to." And then we find ourselves actually doing it, right? We find ourselves actually doing it. So this is what I wanted to talk about. This is what's called the ripple effect. This is when we repeat the things that were spoken to us, good or bad, and they get passed down. This is that stuff that gets passed down from generation to generation, that have a lasting impact, either good or bad. Sometimes it's good if it's good stuff, right? Then we have a lot of things to remember, like they say money don't grow on trees, or what happens in this house stays in this house, right? These are different things. Or stop crying before I give you something to cry about. A penny saved is a penny earned. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. This hurts you more than it hurts me, right? All these things that we remember, that just gets passed down from generation to generation. But not everything we pass down is good or helpful wisdom. Good morning, Jaden. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Welcome in. Welcome in. So sometimes we pass down insults. We pass down things that are insulting, like, well, I see the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, right? So if you had a negative or a bad parent, um, you'll say things like, yeah, you're acting just like so and so used to act, or yeah, that's in you, or different things that we used to say that were negative. We'll pass down our insecurities. We'll pass down things like, oh, don't be like me, or I hope you don't uh you know be have the kind of issues that I had, or as if the way we are is negative, or wrong, or um not good, right? Good morning, dominant man. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Welcome in, welcome in. And so, or we'll pass down our impatience, right? And we'll say things like, don't embarrass me, or don't act up in here, or we'll pass down our anger, we'll pass down our pain, all these things that come out of our mouths. We don't realize that we're imparting into the other people that we care about. So, and suddenly when we say those things, we can see the pain coming over their faces, and it feels just as fresh as it did the day that it was spoken to us many years ago. So, and there is where the ripples begin. One I don't like to hear is what, Burns? So yes, so once we say these things, the damage is done and we can't undo what is said. And so that's why I really want us to understand why it's important for us to be careful about what we allow to come out of our mouths. Not just what we say, but how we say it, how often we say these things. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Dominant. Um, you just like your dad, no good. Yeah, I hate that one too, Burns. I definitely hate that one. Um, yeah, when people say that you just like your daddy, you just you're gonna be no good like your daddy or your mom or this or that, whatever the situation is. That's a horrible one to say. And one of the things that I really um, hate about that is that you're teaching children to feel like there's something in them, inherently in them, that is not good, just because they are related to this person, this bad person. And just because, good morning, Positive. How are you? Good to see you. I appreciate you listening in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay. Okay. Just awful. Yeah. Um, you're teaching, you're teaching your children that because they're related to this person, that there inherently is something bad in them, and something that they should be ashamed of. And you don't want your children growing up thinking, oh, just because this is my dad or this is my mom or I'm related to this person, that that those horrible things about that person are also in me. And you don't want them feeling that. You don't want them growing up thinking that. And that's why it's really horrible to think that or they'll say things like, you got that from your mom or you got that from your dad. And I hate that thing, right? Or you look like your mom or you look like your dad, and which reminds me of something that I don't like, right? So these are things that we say that are not good when we repeat them to our children. Thank you for sharing me out. Good morning, time with Tiffy. Good to see you. Blessings to you this morning. So these are things that we need to eliminate from our vocabulary, because we don't want our children growing up thinking that there's something wrong with them, like I say, just because they're related to this person. So those are things that we need to learn to eliminate from our vocabulary. So yeah, we pass down these insults, we pass down our anger, our pain, our insecurities, all these things, and we see this pain come over their face. And like I say, we're reminded just like how we felt. Uh, just like it was yesterday. And like I say, once the damage is done, uh, so when you feel yourself starting to lose it, and we've all been there, right? Whether you're talking to a child, whether you're talking to someone you care about, someone in your household, or a coworker, we feel very, we have to get very conscious about when we feel ourselves beginning to lose control. So if we feel ourselves like that anger arising, and we feel that stress beginning to come over us, and we want to say, like, we feel those negative words coming off the tip of our tongue, we have to change our space. One of the best things for me that I have discovered to do is to change my space. Like, I will walk out of the room, or I'll say, I need a minute. I need to take a moment, whatever the situation is, and I remove myself from the space so that I don't allow those thoughts to come through my head out of my mouth, because we all have negative thoughts. We can't stop them. We can't stop the negative thoughts a lot of times. Like, they just come even when we don't want them to come. So therefore, we have to be intentional about not letting them come out of our mouths. So, and in order to do that, for me, I find that it's best that I either be quiet, right, close my mouth, or change my scene, change my space, and that just sort of shakes up my thoughts just enough to help me get a little control. And so, and that works, and that's something that tends to work for me, and something that you can work on trying. Good morning, Chef. How are you? Good to see you. Phone dying, cashed you to TV to listen. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. So yes, be intentional about um not, speaking things that are negative and ugly, and repeating those horrible, ugly things that we used to have in our minds, in the back of our minds, so that we don't hurt people. And a lot of times we'll develop that mentality of, well, I survived it, right? I survived it and I came out fine. There's nothing wrong with me. So what does it matter if I say these things or not, right? But it does matter. It does matter, because just because you survived it and you think, well, I'm stronger because of it, that does not necessarily mean that you are that tough skin is not necessarily strength. Because when we are dealing with things, or when we've been scarred by hurtful words, we have scar tissue, and that scar tissue is either very sensitive. If you've ever had a scar, or ever been hurt, or ever had, some situations going on, that scar tissue can either be very sensitive, or it can be numb. Right? It can just be a numb area for you, and that's not strength. That's not strength. The strength that we want to have is being able to have control over our words, being able to have control over what we allow to come out of our mouths, how we treat people, how we talk to people, and how we, appreciate them, or love on them. So, and that's and that is strength. That is real strength. Not just being able to, um, ignore insults, or move past things that hurt us, and not address them. And then, because we don't address them, we end up repeating them towards others. And again, we're just passing down the hurt, passing down the pain, passing down the insecurities, just on and on and on, passing things down. Let me look at your comments here. All right. Thank you, Dominant Man. I appreciate that. My husband tells me every day how beautiful I am, so I appreciate that. Um, let's see, Chef. Good morning. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome. I love you all too. Hobbies, doing YouTube. Good morning. I'm broken, Sylvia. How are you? Good to see you, Sunshine. Blessings to you as well. Preparing to homeschool. Good deal. All right. I'm not going to be on here before you all long. I just wanted to make sure and remind you all that everything that comes through our heads does not need to come out of our mouths, right? And the more we can learn to get control, develop some sort of filter, and get some control over what we allow to come out of our mouths, the better off our relationships will be. The better off our relationships will be. And so we want to make sure that we're saying things that are elevating to the spirit, encouraging, things that are reassuring, wisdom, things that are loving. And if it's something negative, it maybe need not be said, or it could be that we need to figure out a different way to say what we need to say, rather than allowing our anger to speak, and taking the risk of having the potential of these horrible things coming out. So try to speak positively. And if you are a mom or a single parent, um, or a father who's a single parent, whatever, and you and the spouse or the ex-spouse or have parted ways, be intentional about not speaking badly about that other parent. Okay, it's critical that you do that, because like I said, we don't want our children growing up thinking that because I'm related to this person, or because this person is related to me, that there's something bad in me, because they're in me, that there's something bad in me, and that I will end up being a bad person. We don't want our children feeling like that. We want them to be able to maintain good relationships and good thoughts about themselves, who they are, despite who their parents are. And we want them to be able to maintain good relationships with their biological parents, whether you're with them or not, because we have no control over what over how that relationship will need to develop over the years, right? um, you your children may need that parent, or that parent may need their child one day, and if we intervene, if we get in the way of whatever relationship needs to develop over the years by saying negative, ugly things to that child about that parent, then we could be, preventing a blessing that may come years down the road, and I will say this because I know this to be true, because I grew up with a step parent, and who raised me since I was 3. And my mother, even though she and my father, my birth father, did not have or their marriage, didn't end well, um, she never spoke negatively about my father. She never spoke bad about my father. And I never would have imagined. And though I knew my father, and she allowed me to develop my own relationship with him. I never imagined that when I was in my 20s that I would actually have to be moving him into my house. And who I never you could not have, you know, paid me to believe that ever would have happened, but that's exactly what did happen. And I felt, and I had to move him in with me, and he stayed for a couple of weeks, just as he was going through a transition period. But it was such a rich time. Like those 3 weeks that I spent with my father, which was probably the longest I had ever spent with him, I got to know him on such a deeper level that I never would have imagined before, and might not would have even given myself the opportunity to have known, had my mother just completely eliminated him from my life. So it ended up being a rich time for him, a rich time for myself. I was older, he was older. I learned a lot about him. I learned a lot about myself, even through him, and all of that. So you never know what is going to have to transpire in the long-term future. So don't speak badly about those parents if they are, just because the two of you are not getting along. Let me see your comments here. Yes, speak positive about the other spouse. It is sad when the children actually see the negative in that other parent because of the things that the parent has done in the home, in front of them. And I pray for healing. Yes, for healing that parent. Absolutely. And that's the other thing. That you don't have to speak negatively, because anything that they're supposed to see, those children are going to see. They're going to see it. Just because I grew up knowing my dad, I still saw a lot of negative things that he did, but my mom didn't have to tell me those things about him, because I was able to see those things for myself and develop my own thoughts and opinions, and, the relationship with him based on, what he was showing me. And so, and we had good times, and really, I never had a bad time. It was just, his personality or character traits or things like that. He was never necessarily never ugly to me in any way, or anything like that. But I did see, somewhat see that spirit within him. So, but like I said, as he got older and, got more settled, and I got older and, more wise and understanding of, what it means and what people have been throughout their lives, and how people sort of get to where they are in life sometimes. Um, you learn and you accept and you develop some understanding and you work on having a better relationship. So good morning, Rashika Conyers. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey. My coworkers are passing by looking at me like, what is she doing? But anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you all about. Stop the ripples. Stop the ripples. Stop that negative talk, that negative those negative insecurities and things that we pass down from generation to generation. And when we talk about generational curses, we are the ones that pass down those generational curses. Generational curses don't just appear, right? Generational curses are things that we pass down, things that we say over and over again, decade after decade, generation after generation. If we pass down negativity, anger, hurt, disbelief, all these things, if we pass that, if we continue to repeat those negative, ugly things that were spoken to us, those cutting, hateful words, demeaning words, then yes, if we impart that in our children will impart that in their children, and that's how these generational curses sort of stay throughout the underlining, like they just sort of sit there all the time, just generation after generation. And our children grow up believing that they're not good enough, or that they're not worthy, or that they don't deserve respect, or they don't deserve love, or they can never be married, they can never have this because my grandmother never got married, my grandfather never held on to a never stayed in a relationship, my great grandfather, right? And we just pass this stuff down, right? If we continue to tell if you're a man and you continue to tell your child that women are no good, then they're going to grow up believing women are no good. Same thing with a man, right? If you grow passed down, men are no good, never trust a man, then generation to generation, kids are going to be growing up thinking, oh, I can never trust a man because they're always going to do this or always going to do that, or women are always this way or always going to be that way, right? This is how we pass down these generational curses, instead of imparting in them that just because, back in the day, our family, maybe we have a history of not staying married or whatever, but that is still possible. That is still the goal, or that is still attainable. You can be married, you can have a good relationship, you can stay together as a family, you can accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish, you can do the things that you want to do, you can achieve the things that you want to achieve. Change the narrative, change what's coming out of your mouth, and you will change the what's being passed down to change it from being a generational curse to a generational blessing. Let's pass down generational blessings instead of generational curses. So speak positive. It doesn't matter what the history of your family is. This is you. You get a new day. We get new grace, new mercy, new blessings each and every day. And it's up to us to decide what we want to do with those things. Therefore, it doesn't matter what people in the past have done. What matters is what you're going to choose to do today. And that's what the kind of stuff that we need to be passing down to our kids and speaking into what the people that we care about. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. We must watch what we speak over our lives and over the lives of our children. Say what you want to see. Absolutely, say what you want to see. I see this in you. You have this in you, and this is what I believe you can be. And speak those things as though they are. Speak those things as though they are. I see you as a good person. I see you as a stable person, a loving person, a kind person, a deserving person, a worthy person, a person of respect. Speak those things as though they are, and they will come to pass. Okay, so I'll leave you all with that this morning. I'm going to head out. I went a little bit over, so I will chat with you all back on Friday. I think Friday we are talking about not dimming your light. Not dimming your light. So I'll have a tip coming out tomorrow, and I'll see you all back again here live on Friday morning. Y'all take care. Have a beautiful and blessed Wednesday morning, hump day. So we're almost through the week. Y'all take care. Love you all. Bye.